preliminary. That is a tremendous amount. And Neobility, not too shabby himself, 16 Hearthstone Championship Tour points. I mean, you're looking at two of the top players in the Americas right now facing off in the top 3 of this event.
Yeah, these guys were, I believe, the number 5 and 6 seeds coming into this. We seeded by HCT points, and they really proved it by both making it to the winner's bracket top 4. Both of them have fallen since then, but top 3 of the event for both of these guys, regardless of the result. And we're going to start with Patron Mirror, and I love it. I feel like Talion's kind of happy to see this. He's like, all right, my turn to win this.
I mean, it goes perfectly along with what we've seen from him so far. You know,
I will say,
down, but you're not out.
I will say, it's not a straight 50-50. If we look at the tech cards these players have, Talion has a Black Knight and a No Mission Inventor. Black Knight could hit Bloodhoof Brave, but from Neobility's side, he has a Harrison Jones in his list. That card, pretty solid if you can hit a 2-char Jax, get some card advantage, and also just a body that can challenge everything in the Patron deck.
Yeah, 2 very different kinds of tech cards, but 2 very big swings in the right situation, and we're underway.
But of course, what we are looking towards, and we've talked about it before, the win condition in this matchup, make a bunch of patrons before your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much you just want to get everyone on the dance floor as fast as you can.
I think we could see an interesting matchup here, though, because both players have some minions that aren't patron. Pretty similar hands. I have to see, I mean, we got some. There's the armor up.
I mean, this is already a big difference we've seen. Neobility last time 4 went 3 armor ups.
Yeah, but that was
damaged.
Talion armoring up here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very different approach from both these players.
When Neobility skipped it, he did have 2 copies of Battle Rage in hand, whereas right now Talion has 0.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that's always an impact.
I think that's definitely something to consider. And also, the context of the hand is, maybe this is a weird game where you fight with non-patron minions. Maybe you do need 2 health to survive. If not 4, if not 6, you know.
Possibility.
If you commit to not armoring up.
This hand is shaping up pretty well for Neobility so far. I mean, no patrons just yet, but a lot of card draw options. I mean, we've seen it time and again this weekend. Card draw is a major difference on how the games unfold.
Yep, and Neobility seems to be great at drawing 2 copies of Battle Rage. Whether it's good or not, those cards find their way into his hand.
He's playing Mage, 2 Battle Rages.
It's usually a pretty solid card in this deck. It's usually one of those cards, sort of like Sprint, sort of like Auctioneer. I mean, common theme with card draw is when you don't get it, you're usually more unhappy than when you get too much of it.
Yeah. I mean, and there is such a thing as too much card draw. I mean,
definitely.
Battle Rage taking up an option in his hand right now. I'm certain he's not happy to see. But to see 1 or to see 2 rather than 0, certainly a welcome sight. So he's going to leave a Slam here. I believe that's going to be a trade, and that leaves him with a 5-1 on board.
Yeah,
sets up
gonna
that
get
Ravaging
answered.
Ghoul.
Yeah, Ravaging Ghoul, obviously, pretty much going to come down, I think, here.
Now, there is an option for Bloodhoof Brave and Inner Rage. I think a lot of this depends on how much he values Inner Rage in this matchup, which obviously is quite a bit.
Here's kind of the reasoning why it's such an obvious ghoul is Inner Rage does have a lot of uses in this matchup. You can use it on your own patron. Obviously, I think the last resort is using it to pick off a 1-health minion, but Ravaging Ghoul in this matchup is not going to find targets a lot. Late game, it becomes a liability.
So Finley's not going to get played this turn, doesn't want to just give up the body. Maybe eyeing that to help activate those Battle Rages, coupled with that Ravaging Ghoul later on.
Yeah, he looks to be lining up his own Ravaging Ghoul onto the Ravaging Ghoul.
Well, I can tell you what's going to put a stop to that.
Yeah, don't really want a Ravaging Ghoul into a 2-6.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Just take 5. It's not that big a deal.
No, it's great.
Activate your opponent's Battle Rages. It's okay.
I kind of think he might do it.
I mean, honestly, it's really not that bad. I think that Acolyte's probably going to be a little bit better, and even when he Inter-Rages here, it's going to ensure he gets 2 draws. And this might even lead into a Battle Rage right here.
Of course.
Yeah, and so now with that Execute draw, Ravaging Ghouls look a lot better in this situation. And quickly putting together a lot of utility here.
And this is kind of showing the strength of card draw. Neobility's getting a lot closer to his Grim Patrons than Talion is to his. Talion, he's got a hand that could win the game, I mean, but he's really going to need Black Knight to hit a Bloodhoof Brave.
Wow, I'm really curious by this Inter-Rage right here. I mean, that concern with life total?
Oh my gosh, Patron is picked up. How soon do you go for it, though? It's definitely risky to only make 2.
Here's the thing. He's got the Bloodhoof Brave down right now.
Oh my gosh, if he goes for it.
I mean,
think it'd work out.
I mean, what Neobility? I mean, there's no way to answer a 3-health patron in this deck.
Fiery War Axe, but there's a taunt up.
Exactly. So, I mean, he quite literally would need 2
he's gonna
executes
do it.
and a Fiery War
Talion
Axe.
spots his win condition here, and I really like this because he's so far behind on cards that if he doesn't go for something and win the game now, it could be very hard to win later. There's no answer.
I mean, this is the worst news Neobility could have possibly gotten this turn. I mean, maybe a whirlwind to add with it, but I mean, what's he gonna do in this situation?
He's gonna draw for it.
I don't know about this.
What card would help? I mean, second execute and Fiery War Axe would let him clean up. But how do you draw those and cast them? You just can't.
You know, here's the thing we saw earlier, though, is that when Talion got in this situation, he put together enough whirlwinds that he can actually clear the board off.
Yeah.
And Neobility's reload was so strong that he recovered from it. Talion's hand is pretty stripped of those options right now. So if Neobility can navigate this situation where the board gets filled up and then he can whirlwind away all these minions, he's the one who's got the gas. He's the one who's drawn cards.
Now the counter to that is if you patrons are essentially unremovable by whirlwinds as long as they're at different health totals. If they're all at the same health total, then you can get them all to 1 and then clear them all out. But if you have them kind of staggered, 1 at 2, 1 at 3, they're essentially never going to get cleared out.
Yeah, it's much harder in that situation.
Interestingly enough, he did not go with execute. He's just putting out minions. Definitely has a plan here, and I think you're spot on. It involves these whirlwinds. He's going to try to whirlwind to kill patrons, and that is a
terrifying thought.
A risky proposition, Admirable. But I mean, for Talion here, you have to worry about filling up the board a bit.
And I think it's exactly what he is concerned with.
Like the obvious play here, you look at this and you're like, well, you trade the patron in and you Ravage and Ghoul and make a bunch of patrons.
Which he still just might go for.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't mind trading the 5-2 in just to clear up room. Talion is definitely in a commanding position this game and really just needs to figure out how to not slip up and get cleared out.
Well,
maybe
too much time
not whirlwinding.
I think it does.
Does nothing besides armor up
and attack. So,
and that might be correct. I mean, 4 whirlwinds.
So 1 whirlwind's going to put 2 3-health patrons on board, 1 1-health patron on board, and 2 2-health patrons on board.
Admiral, I do not play nearly enough patron to think about this stuff right now.
I think Neobility might get through this. I mean, if I'm doing my math right, he can kill all but 1 patron.
God knows how.
The thing about it is he actually needs this Bloodhoof Brave to be on board for the 3rd Whirlwind. So a big key here is actually not attacking these minions to occupy board space. So 1 Whirlwind is going to put a 1 health, 2 2 health.
There's going to be 6 minions on the board after 1 Whirlwind.
No, there's going to be 7.
6.
I'm sorry, there will be 6, yeah, because the 5 one's dying.
Yeah. Oh, he's got to go, though. And he's got a plan. Honestly, it was not much time to figure out a plan for this, so wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, maybe attacking was wrong, but... And now he's going to reevaluate, I think, and...
this is too late.
Oh, man, I don't think this is going to work. Everyone!
This is bad news for Neobility.
Oh, man. 5 patrons on the board.
Yeah, let's just trade off these 1 health ones. Perfect.
Yep, he's got 2 1-health ones to trade off into 3/3s.
Here's the deal. That Druid Hero Power is actually pretty relevant to this too, because if Talion doesn't trade this off correctly, just like you mentioned, he's going to set up a lot of minions with similar health, and that's the disaster spot for these Grim Patrons. Something else that's happening too is because Neobility's playing this in such an aggressive way that Talion's kind of reluctant to actually play anything because it's just a bunch of whirlwinds.
Yeah, just to kind of explain, the reason why a 3/2 patron can be better than a 3/3 is it'll die off after 2 whirlwinds and create more room to spawn more patrons, so you can't get triple whirlwinded.
Yeah, I think with this board, there's no way out of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty rough. He's got 1 at 2. He's got 1 at 1. I think this is about where he wanted to be.
This is his last whirlwind. I mean, these are his last 2 whirlwind effects, too.
He's got 2. He's got to make it with 2 somehow.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work.
I mean, these are the types of games that, I mean, if you ever watch Life Coach's stream, he'll agonize over post-game for 15 minutes over 1 turn.
Yeah.
And you have about 70 seconds in this live scenario to figure out the play.
Good luck.
I mean, takes a lot of patron versus patron knowledge.
I'm thinking about that turn a lot with the blood.
Exactly, you're thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, so.
Those turns are tough. Ultimately, I mean, I'm not sure if there was even an answer present. Patron math is so different than every other kind of math. Every time you subtract 1, you have to add 3.
Yeah, I don't think it would have worked out.
So again, another rope coming out. Corcoran comes down. I mean, this...
Well, this does answer the healthy
He's out of whirlwinds, though.
And that's the issue, is that no whirlwinds left.
If he had 1 more whirlwind, that was a clear.
12 plus 10.
He's dead.
Damn, that's going to do it. Talion's going to take game number 1 with his patron warrior.
And
that's the opposite of what we saw last time.
Yeah, maybe some foreshadowing. I was kind of talking about it. The first time these guys met, a lot was dictated upon the fact that the patron mirror was won by Neobility. Without that win, I'm not sure that Neobility's other decks get the wins that they did last match.
Yeah.
So 1-0 lead means a lot.
It certainly does here. I mean, I'm taking a look at the Mage facing up against either the Grim Patron or against the Warlock now. And both of those situations could be a little bit tricky. I mean, Patron still has a lot of good game versus Freeze Mage, but Freeze Mage is one of those decks where if they just get those hands that blow up everything you play, you're just not going to beat it.
Yeah. I mean, for the Shaman deck, kind of missing one of those better matchups now, and also the fact that the Patron Warrior needs to still get a win for Neobility. Last time it found its win in the mirror, and this time it's going to have to go in Shaman or Mage. It looks like Mage, and no, swaps to Shaman. Of course, players are allowed to choose whatever they want.
And in this game,
I mean, order, mostly a matter of comfort. Gonna get a Shaman mirror.
Gosh, I love mirror matches. You know that?
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
And some of them are like pretty brutal, but
Zoo mirror, I'll give you that one. I don't want to play that mirror match.
Now the thing about mirrors really is it takes so many games to figure out your edge that it's not apparently immediate. It always kind of looks like you know, you're just getting lucky with draws. Like that's honestly what a lot of players think about when it comes to mirrors, but there are a lot of small things you can do in Shaman Mirror. We've seen this a few times this weekend. It gets interesting.
Yeah, I know that you have a lot of experience with Shaman versus Shaman, and obviously it's changed a lot after this. But what is your experience in this matchup? Like, how do you identify what role you are in the game and at what point?
It definitely depends on your hand, and there's so many hand permutations in Hearthstone. I mean, there's millions of mulligan permutations that every game's unique, but you're going to be firing a lot of burn spells into minions, which is something a lot of players aren't used to Shaman doing. And it's basically just a big fight for board. There's not nearly enough burn in this deck to ever just go straight face now.
Without just an incredible start.
Yeah, and you can get very heavily punished by things. Ardent Squire's a new addition to this Shaman deck. I mean, post-standard, it's found its way in. Kind of in the place of Leper Gnome. That's sort of why Ardent Squire's crept into this list.
Which I kind of like it, honestly. Like combining with Flame Tongue Totem along with Abusive Sergeant, you can contest other tunnel draws.
Especially with Haunted Creeper leaving, it's kind of taking Matt's place too. That was sort of making its way into Shaman list towards the end of last format. And now it's almost a one-mana version of Haunted Creeper. It's going to get 2 attacks in, and it gets to use Flame Tongue Totem really well.
Now going to leave up Tunnel Trog here, just contest it with Totem Golem. This is one of those situations I'm always a bit nervous about.
Definitely, but
like, yeah, man. Like,
yeah, it is. You gotta have some foresight to see into the future how you're going to be able to deal with these and if it's better to develop minions first. Common rule of thumb is to go with minions first, spells second. Stick the minions and use your spells to remove their minions, so your minions get repetitive damage.
Yeah. So Neobility, I think he's looking to potentially get a juggle here with that Flame Juggler. Would be able to use the Argent Square and the Flame Juggler to maybe clear up that Totem Golem.
Yep. And
because that Totem Golem's pointed at that Tonal Trog. Like, we might as well get that attack over with right now.
I'll tell you that this is not a good turn for Talion. He's got 2 1-drops that both just get eaten up by Totem Golem.
The light shielded mini-bot.
Lightning Bolt, it basically is. I mean, it's got the overload on it, which makes things a tad more awkward, but it also pushes more damage.
That's just thematic for Shaman.
Yeah.
You know they actually scrapped the Forbidden Shaman card.
Yeah.
It was just spend all your mana, overload that many mana crystals.
Yeah. But combined with the other Shaman legendary, if you have 10 overloaded mana crystals, kill your opponent.
Oh!
Mage Zodia!
Mage Hero Power is sort of a good indication of how much players are going to fight for this board too.
Yep.
Any single point of damage that you can direct makes the combat that much more awkward for your opponent.
You hate to say it, but might end up being one of those games where
he's going to go for the 50-50 here. I mean, you could trade in the Finley, play the Flame Juggler. If you succeed this, I think you're favored.
Oh, definitely. And looking at the hands, I mean, a Feral Spirit and a Doomhammer can be seen in Neobility's hand. Both very solid cards in this matchup. Urshak might find a target, might not. Very situational. He's going for the 50-50. Flame Juggler.
It's so important.
Never lucky.
Yeah, but still with a 2-3 and a 1-1 on board. But versus this, I mean, here's the deal. There's a chance this Argent Horse Rider doesn't trade.
There's a real chance, but there's also a chance it's Tunnel Trog this turn. And in fact, I think it is Tunnel Trog. It's Tunnel Trog Lightning Bolt Ping. You know, we're forgetting about the Mage Hero Power. Clear this entire board and leave behind your own Trog. You're leading into an Argent Horse Rider turn if you need to.
Oh, he's going for
He might be just going face.
Boom.
And we said a lot about trading, but when the trades aren't favorable, sometimes you just have to go face.
Now another peculiar opportunity presents itself here where Earthshock can be used for value this turn.
Literally all 3 of these cards are pretty playable.
Yes, and they all mean different things for your board state too.
You have to really consider how your opponent's going to be playing, what their range is. Do you need Doomhammer to come down on 5? Are you okay with it coming down a turn later? Which I think you might be. But Earthshocking that Trog is going to let you trade in with Juggler, leave behind a 2-2. And a 2-2 is worth a lot in this matchup. I mean, if you can hide it away behind taunts even. I mean, even just Totem Earthshock, not terrible, but it would run into that Argent Horse Rider.
I think I like the Earthshock for value here, honestly.
I think it's going to end up being Earthshock Feral Spirit, make the strongest play in the immediate future, and then worry about that Doomhammer later. It's such a good card, but you want to protect this 2-2 right now. You can cast Lightning Bolt next turn and still get the Doomhammer off on 5, and this just puts you in a solid spot on the board.
I'll tell you what, the first Feral Spirit's got a little bit of an advantage too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Casting Feral Spirits into Feral Spirits just lets your opponent dictate the trades so much more. You're probably going to see a Lightning Bolt come down on one of the Feral Spirits.
Now this does still make it awkward for Neobility. I mean, he will be losing a lot of health to get this done.
Eternal Sentinel also going to let him get down a Totem.
It just lets him evaluate too. I mean, if he sees Healing Totem here,
he might
the turn changes a lot.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be double trades, but look at how far ahead he is on this board. Rolling into a Doomhammer turn, Talion's going to need to pick up more to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, only 4 mana available means that there's not Argent Horse Rider Ping, so we're relegated to Lightning Bolt if that's what we want to choose. I mean, Argent Horse Rider here doesn't even have to be played.
Yeah, you just ping.
Yeah, and this is suddenly, it's looking kind of bad for Neobility.
The Mage Hero Power is changing the dynamic of this game so much. The Totem,
oh
my god.
Geez, that is a huge draw for Neobility. 7-7 is uncontested right now.
Talion drew Hex!
Oh my gosh!
He runs, I believe, just 1 copy of Hex.
That's a huge draw. I mean, one big draw deserves another.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain. It's eye for an eye with these draws, but still that mage hero power presenting such a problem. It's going to take a while for the shaman hero power to really outvalue it.
Yeah, it took 4 damage here with his own Doomhammer. So now Argent Horse Rider and hero power, along with a Flame Tongue Totem, I mean, this might become a damage race for Talion. I mean, he doesn't really have inevitability because he doesn't have Doomhammer right now.
Or Doomhammer.
Yeah, and both of those are a problem, so he's got to find a way to start pushing damage. And if this Argent Horse Rider lives through this turn, say the Neobility feels like that Flame Tongue Totem is a higher priority, which I guarantee you he doesn't want to take 8.
You're not taking 8, yeah. Taunt Totem would be very nice.
Flame Totem.
Healing's not bad, but right now it's not really doing much for him.
Not going to play the Flame Tongue Totem just yet either, would just be sacrificing it.
Ancestral Knowledge would be a great pickup for either of these players.
I think of a lot of good draws right now, and Feral Spirits is one of them.
Yep.
That means that Argent Horse Rider is going to live as a 2/1 here as well. They can trade in that Tunnel Troll, use that Mage Hero power.
No Mage Hero power over for Neobility. Talion's definitely going to play that. I mean, the cards almost played themselves once we get into this top deck mode. But a lot of sequencing led to this. He might even be trading with a totem. So here, I mean, I say the cards play themselves. Ancestral Knowledge. Insane. Second Doomhammer.
That's not a very good draw right now.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for that to see the light of day.
I mean, does he have to trade the Tunnel Trog here? I mean, he can't just keep eating damage over and over again.
I mean, he can.
I mean, he's going to have to this turn. Like, he has to take 4 more.
Yeah, to get to 7. He's going to push 7. And this is going to force a trade from the Argent Horse Rider as we see it on board right now. Going to even up the damage race quite a bit. The 1/1 totem with
Wait a minute, what was that? Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh, this game keeps going back and forth. And the 2/1 sticks around, and this Mage Hero power is crushing it. Like, the 1/1 totem was pretty unlucky for Neobility there.
There is not a way. He's going to need to roll a bunch of
He needs Taunt Totem. That's not Taunt Totem. Do you ever just go face? I mean, you got to kill the 2/1, right?
Well, if he puts him at 10, Rockfighter is a way to win the game right now.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
He's going
to kill it. But this means your minions are going to survive.
Yeah, I know.
Which means any damage is a win.
That's 11 damage for Talion
Oh,
as
but
well.
he can kill the Flame Tongue with the Rockbiter on his face. Go face for 7, and that's game unless a Taunt Totem or Lethal are picked up for Neobility. I mean, I'm not seeing much more than that. Do you really want to leave up that much damage for your opponent?
To the dome.
Put him to 5 most likely, unless he wants to ping off the Divine Shield. I don't think 4 health versus 5 matters, so yeah, I would ping off that Divine Shield just in case a Taunt Totem is rolled and you get into a weird spot. Maybe it went towards, okay. Let me get rid of the Divine Shield.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
That is game.
Wow, Neobility pulls it out. The second Doomhammer matters.
Oh my.
Unbelievable. Look at Talion. Just what on earth happened
That's
this game?
incredible.
That's incredible. Ties up the series at 1 game apiece.
Wow.
Wow.
Really glad he had that second Doomhammer. You know, the double Doomhammer going a long way.
Sometimes Doomhammer just got to put out 20 damage over the course of the game.
People said you'd never play 2 of them, but here we are.
You were the first person to do it in competitive
play.
play.
Actually play 2 of them.
You just overlap it.
I did that at the America's Championship 2014.
I'm not going to have time for this later.
I had 1 charge, and I just put a new one on.
How do you have 1 charge with a Doomhammer?
Well, it was a value matchup. It was Shaman versus Shaman, mid-range back then.
Safe play, Chalky.
Yeah, I was totem stomping. I had my macro out and everything.
We're going to find out what they queue up for game number 3. Down to a best of 3 at this point. Warrior and Warlock left for Neobility. Shaman and Mage up for Talion.
Yep.
Gosh, these two have been having such close games.
Jeez.
Like, it's unbelievable how close these are. I mean, we've seen a lot of close games But really the only blowouts we've seen are in the Warrior Patron mirrors.
No more mirrors this match.
It's a good old Shaman versus Patron.
Yep, we're going to keep seeing the same decks. One of them failed to pick up a win with Patron, one failed to pick up a win with Shaman, and we're going to see those decks collide now.
Coming into this top 8, over the course of this field, Warrior had a 62% win rate versus Shaman.
Yep, definitely.
Now we don't know what builds those are. That's not archetype specific.
And
it is only class specific.
That is the entire tournament. So that's just kind of a baseline we're going off of. Tech choices can definitely change things. Talion looks like he's choosing to hold on to that Flame Wreath Faceless. Only card it's really weak to is Execute.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where your opponent does have to have that exact answer.
Yep.
We're just threatening a bunch of damage.
Neobility, I gotta believe, I mean, Finley is a 1-3, so it's gonna help you lock down the early game, but if you wanna throw away Armor Up, I mean, looks like he's going to. I don't blame him.
Blood to Icar's really good versus Divine
Argent
Shields.
Squire?
Yeah.
Gosh.
All right, here we go.
That is a good opener for Neobility. And I think he recognized, yeah, maybe I don't want a new hero power. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely can be a value battle.
Yep.
In a lot of situations.
A lot of players would think, wow, you're crazy. Life tap against Face Shaman? But, I mean,
Neobility is crazy.
Kind of is, man.
He's had some very strong plays throughout this tournament. Blood to Icar is going to give him a very nice start.
Yep, I think he looked at those two cards in combination and thought, well, Murloc's not that good. I don't really want to give away Armor Up, but at the same time, this answers Argent Squire incredibly well.
Yeah. Eyeing that coin Argent Horse Rider. Or coin Feral Spirit's totally fine as well.
Yeah, it's not going to do too much, but if you look at if he did it the other way, it'd be roughly the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's got the Inner Rage as well. If he wanted to just clear them all out.
I mean, that's going to leave your opponent on 1 mana next turn.
I would really consider the Frothing Berserker here.
I'm liking the Frothing too, like Frothing trade.
So the main reason is your opponent just coined Feral Spirits. Now, what that indicates to me a lot of the time is they have a 1-drop.
Yeah.
1-drops include Lightning Bolt and Rock Biter to answer whatever you play. So giving them a 3/3 to use that 1 mana on is pretty bad. Now, if they had to go Lightning Bolt your Frothing, trade in my Wolf, you're probably happy because initiatives pass back to you. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this turn. And Neobility's going to go with the same.
I actually like the way this Inner Rage lines up too, because now this Wolf is very likely trading into
the 2/2.
That sets the Ravage pool and makes a big push.
And I mean,
afterwards,
Talion's gonna know, but what's he gonna do about it?
Well,
nothing.
He's gonna attack into this and suffer the consequences of this Ravaging Ghoul.
And this shows just how powerful that turn 3 Frothing was onto that board. Finley and Blood to Icar really doing a great job to set this board state up, but
that is 9 damage coming across this turn.
There's no answer.
Yeah, there's nothing right now. He needs to pick up something up.
Hex is picked up.
Once again, you're yielding initiative over Neobility, and he's got life tap. I mean, if you're giving up turns and giving him gas.
And this just shows kind of how Neobility looked at his hand and thought, yeah, I want life tap. That's going to go a long way towards, you know, making sure I'm in the driver's seat this game.
That's a great turn 6 that's set up as well.
I mean, you've heard me call this aggro warrior. This is aggro warrior. This is not patron. No patrons are going to hit the board. This is aggro.
Just beat him up.
He's got 7 from hand next turn. Who's the aggro deck now, idiot?
Who's the aggro deck now, idiot?
Yeah. Well, he's going to need some fish if he wants to win this game. Healing Totem, not the best. Probably looking for a pair of Totem Golems there.
And that Frog isolates that Totem Golem into that attack, so he's free to just play this Kor'kron Elite and start going face.
I mean, we haven't seen any Lightning Storm or Elemental Destruction from Talion's build. It seems to just be aggro with a Hex. And
13, I mean, what's he gonna do?
5 mana. He could Flame Juggler the Frog.
I think he might have to.
I think he might have to as well.
I mean, this is a terrible board situation.
No, he's gonna go for Flame Reed. How much he's facing? Like 11, right?
I think he's just got to know that getting lucky is part of his game plan right now. Like, you know, maybe there's some miracle world where Neobility trades into this board state instead.
And I think that's definitely something that these players notice that can get them wins against weaker players. But when you get this deep into the tournament, Neobility is not going to trade in much damage on this board. There's no way he's going to kill that 7-7. Can't wait to be wrong.
He just snap attacks the board. What did you think of that post-game interview when he cleared? Oh, yeah, well, Chalky's an idiot. I'm sure he wanted me to go face.
Oh, well, face
is the place.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good trade here, but I wouldn't blame him for going face because it sets up Grom lethal.
Is the grenade. I don't know. I got nothing. I mean, I like setting up the Grom lethal.
I like setting it up, too.
I mean, there's no
What's your opponent going to do?
You are not going to die from 27.
He might be thinking about, like, Lightning Storm or something stupid like that, but okay.
Stupid. God, you just hate Shaman.
No, Shaman's great, but Warrior's winning this game.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
got to kill 5 minions.
I'm a bandwagoner, okay? Aggro Warrior.
I was a big fan of the Broncos, and I'm a big fan of the Golden State Warriors. And I'm a big fan of Patron Warrior and Neobility.
Oh, yeah. Patron Warrior crushing it this weekend against everyone except Prelude, who's waiting in the finals. Definitely something to be worried about.
Right, so take out the Armor Smith. Take this one out.
Nah, it's going to be game.
Yeah,
he might be alive on board, but
there's no way to survive this. Grom's going to wrap things up. Neobility takes a 2-1 lead. Patron Warrior locked for him. He's got Warlock left to do it with. And when match point for 2 games, he's got to be feeling good.
Yeah, and Warlock's highest win rate is against Shaman.
And we played a little bit of that matchup last night.
It feels bad, man.
It's really unkind to the Shaman player if the Warlock gets off to a good start. I mean, you're looking at Darkshire Councilman's a big problem. Imp-Gang Boss can pose issues. Having Possessed Villager and Argent Squire means that Abusive Sergeant is almost always going to be live. Once the board kind of gets into a wonky state, Forbidden Ritual for 4 or 5 or even upwards of 7 can really put some power on board.
Zoo's a good
Defender
deck.
of Argus messes up the combat math as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the Zoo deck that really challenges what Shaman's trying to do. He also has Freeze Mage to get a win.
And just in case we run out of cards, he's got Life Tap.
Balanced.
I'd like to see that changed.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, a lot of the things about Druid were changed because they were shaping too much of the class identity, but Life Tap has been keeping Warlocks relevant for a long time.
I think I'd like to see Life Tap as like a card where you choose like 1, 2, or 3, and you pay that much life and draw that many cards.
We're going to go Freeze Mage versus Zoo, and we see Leroy Jenkins in Neobility's build, and I tell you what, if there's a matchup you want Leroy in, Freeze Mage is one.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to have Leroy and Power Overwhelming from hand, where like normally if you're playing Doom Guards, it's very difficult to go Doom Guard, Power Overwhelming at attack.
Now, I know a lot of builds of Zoo were kind of figured out, and a lot of people were like, yeah, Zoo's the best again, and kind of using a pretty standard list. I mean, the modern Leper Zoo that we saw some players going to, but Biolf and Tidehunter is in Neobility's list, and so is Leroy, and these are cards that have fulfilled very different purposes. Biolf and Tidehunter are going to give you 2 juggles when you play it. It also challenges things very well. Summons a taunt as well. That's very relevant. Like, normally Zoo only has about 4 taunt cards. Biolf and Tidehunter counts as a 5th and 6th if you play 2 of them.
So we're getting underway here.
And interesting to note, Neobility threw away even just Voidwalker, deciding that's not enough pressure. I want Flame Imp, I want Knife Juggler. I want to kill my opponent. And we saw him last time this matchup cropped up. He won on turn 6 with Bran Abusive Gormok.
Yeah.
He goes aggressive in this matchup.
That's exactly what you have to do. I mean, in the face of being able to have your board swept to Frostnova Doomsayer, you can't just wait around.
Yeah.
You got to kind of hope they don't have those cards.
Yeah,
and you can just punch through.
No Lotheb, no Enhancer Mechano, no Iron Beacon. Those were all cards that let you set up some kind of tricky situations where you could beat things like Frost Nova Doomsayer. Now the Zoo deck is honestly much more fair. It's just kind of minions.
Well, I bet that Voidwalker's kind of a welcome sight at this
Yeah,
point.
Voidwalker's like, miss me, bro?
Yeah, I do.
I'm back.
Find out what his Discover is in just a second here.
It's gonna be a Leper Gnome.
I haven't seen that guy in a while.
Not a bad card even after the nerf against Freeze Mage. If you can get them down to 2 and play a Leper Gnome, they cannot use board clears on their turn.
Yeah.
Also, you can play it into a Doomsayer to kill them going into their turn. It bypasses Ice Block.
Yeah.
So, might not be a situation we get into this game, but definitely there's some awareness there from Neobility to pick up the Leper Gnome. I would presume the other options weren't that great, but...
Now attack from the Loot Hoarder here. Neobility, I mean, that's got to pique some interest.
Well, I think he really just wants him to have to make the attack himself. Wants that Voidwalker to not be going face for 1 this turn. Every point of damage counts. We saw that the last time these two met with these exact decks.
I don't think he's trading. I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a bit too much of a threat of maybe Frostbolt, things like that.
2 Ice Blocks in hand. Ice Blocks, honestly, no longer an unwelcome sight. I think in a lot of the situations in this deck.
When you get 2, it lets you go on a much better burnout plan where you say, okay, well, I know I have 2 free turns at the end of this game.
This is going to be a scary brand.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not what Talion wanted to happen. And it's exactly what's happening.
Whoa.
And there's that Knife Juggler.
Actually has Juggler Biofin for 3 juggles. He could go with that. I mean, we were kind of eyeing the Defender of Argus, but...
Yeah, this is a little bit better now. I mean, the Knife Juggler completely changed the way this hand looks.
Yep.
And there's no Doomsayer.
No Doomsayer
Talion's
quite
hand.
yet. There's gonna be 2 more draws to get it though.
First juggle. And second juggle missed. Oh, third juggle misses as well. And just gonna go face still. It says, you know what? Go ahead and clear that 1/1 taunt.
All right. No Doomsayer.
No Doomsayer.
And again, I mean, we've kind of cited this matchup as go for Doomsayer. It's one of the best cards in the matchup. Very little counterplay to it now from the Zoo side of things.
Seeing the taunts being very relevant here. I mean, dictating the attacks away from that Knife Juggler and away from that 2/1.
Those guys are spooky.
I think it's kind of adorable. Got a little sword and shield.
Does he have a sword and shield?
A little broken sword.
Yeah. What a cute little slime.
Kind of looks like a cactus.
Mind if I roll me?
Yeah.
It's going to be Ice Block and Loot Hoarder. And that means Juggler stays up.
And Brand.
This is terrifying.
All right, so
If you're Talion.
he's got 21 damage plus a juggle.
A mere 21 damage.
If he went all in with the power as well. So not quite there yet.
I mean, you can't pass up Gormok here. There's just no way.
You could go for Defender. Plays around Blizzard a little better.
I'm not passing up 8 damage here. You're never getting that again.
Huh.
If Blizzard happens, you are not getting 8 damage from Gormok again, I don't think. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess he could. He could just play 2 minions from hand and go for it.
Yeah, I don't
Once
know.
again, I just want to be right. How much does it cost to be right?
Maybe you should cast another game then.
Oh, jeez. It's going to make space on his board for that Gormok next turn.
Yep. And let's see where this puts him. I mean, if a minion were to die, he would... So, like, if Blizzard came down now, Gormok Leper Gnome would almost be GG. It'd put him to 2, and you could never get board cleared again.
It's Frost Nova for sure this turn.
Yep. So,
That Gormok
he's
is
one
going to
off
set
the
him.
pop. Wow.
That Gormok's,
I think you do it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what better situation is this? 8 damage.
You get the tap in too, maybe. I mean, there's not many cards he needs to look for, but
You know, Dark Peddler might be on his radar a bit.
9 damage with the juggle.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, jeez. I mean, that's not comfortable anymore.
gonna need some help on Talion's side. for his tournament life. He needs to win. And
I don't think he
I'm
can.
not seeing it. Yeah. So how much burn? I mean, this is something that we're looking at. I mean, 12, 19, 22. Add in a ping, and that's 23 if you could get all that off. I don't think he's going to have enough mana to do all this. I think he's going to go for Blizzard. Hope he doesn't get popped. I mean, what would really pop you? The second
so
juggler?
I think I know the game plan here.
What to do?
You Fireball, Frostbolt, Ice Lance face. The next turn, you're setting up. Well, this kind of enables all this stuff I was just about to talk about. If you start launching burn spells at face and you get the Forgotten Torch off next turn, you can still draw a Roaring Torch.
So he spent 6 mana, but it's going to save at least 6. So definitely something to consider. Unfortunately, I think he's maybe looking at Blizzard being a saving grace, and with Leper Gnome in the hand, as long as Neobility plays that.
I think he's just got a top deck. So if he gets the Forgotten Torch off next turn,
Okay.
he can still draw a Roaring Torch to try to end the game. So next turn is Ice Block, Frostbolt, Ice Lance,
Have
Roaring
to cast
Torch.
the torch.
Yep, and then if he draws the Roaring Torch, he's got 9 mana for Fireball, Fireball, Roaring Torch.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way he's going to win this game.
Wow. Gotta cast Leper Gnome here is the main thing. Wow. I just don't.
Very surprised by that.
Okay. Maybe he's thinking, okay, he's exactly thinking that, okay, my opponent goes clear your board or freeze your board, kill the juggler.
Play Soothsayer.
Yeah, something like that. Well, he has the PO too. So if there's no ice block,
What to do?
he's got a way from hand to kill his opponent, even without the juggler.
I think he's got to go for the Ice Block play.
Yeah, I mean, it just so happens Talion's play isn't that line. He has to go for burn. So, yeah, you have to cast that torch.
You can actually. I was counting for a ping. He can't fit in a Fireball with this turn.
Does he not?
On the torch though.
Uh-oh. No, it's,
Yeah, it still works. I mean,
it's 28, exactly. Which we kind of go back to that life tap turn, and you said, why not? This is why not. Not really
he's got to
expecting
spot
that.
this though too. I mean, he might just be looking at how to live.
Yeah.
I think he spots it.
But does this work? He didn't cast. Oh, okay. He is casting the torch. Okay.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is we're coming down to whether or not Talion draws Forgotten Torch next turn. And here's the thing. He can still pick up Arcane Intellect and maybe draw into it, or even Novice Engineer. But he's going to need literally perfect draws to get this done.
All right, so it looked like he went for the Leper Gnome now, realizing, okay, if my opponent board clears, they lose. If they don't, they lose. Everything's a loss.
There's an Arcane Intellect.
Arcane Intellect. He needs
These two
torch and
draws.
torch only.
Nope.
Oh, man.
Well, that was the
Amazing.
That was the line Talion had to go for, and he spotted it at the very end, trying to find anything else,
Yeah.
but Neobility is going to take this series 3-1.
Yeah, well played. But